Broadband internet access became a priority for Louisiana at the beginning of the pandemic, but funding proved to be a hurdle as lawmakers and broadband experts raced to expand connectivity. The Biden-Harris administration just allocated $1.3 billion in aid, and that'll help Louisiana close the digital divide. Here's how that money can help aid the state in connectivity. The Biden-Harris administration announced this week that the Department of Commerce's National Telecommunications and Information Administration, it's a very long name, is awarding Louisiana $1.3 billion to increase connectivity in the state. Now, this has been a goal of Governor John Bel Edwards since he started in office. So can you tell me a little bit about Louisiana's journey to expand internet access in the state?
The state has been attempting to do this for a long time, but there was pushback from the previous administration. In 2011, which was only 12 years ago, Governor Jindal had an opportunity to get $80 million in broadband expansion and rejected it because he felt it was an unworthy expenditure from the federal government. But if he had taken it, at that time, the projection was that it would provide broadband to 21 parishes, 900 miles, and it would help 400,000 people in the state get access to broadband that they did not have. And 300,000 of those 400,000 still don't have. So here we are 12 years later, and this will take a while, of course, to implement, but it appears that by the end of the decade, everybody in Louisiana will have access to high-speed internet and to broadband.
All right, and Governor Edwards would have met his goal even if he's out of office whenever it happens. I mean, how is he feeling about this $1.3 billion?
I think he views it as an accomplishment, and it had to occur through a variety of methods, and one of those was that he has a friendly administration in Washington in President Biden, who he supported. But he also was quick to credit Senator Cassidy, who of course is a Republican, and Congressman Troy Carter, a Democrat. He said they carried the ball for the state, and they did a good job because, Kara, by most analysis, this is like the 8th largest expenditure for any state in the country. And Louisiana is the 25th largest state, so that means we're getting more per capita than almost any other state. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that Governor Edwards is in good stead. We're in a state where a lot of people are underserved, and Senator Cassidy and Congressman Carter did an exceptional job lobbying for Louisiana.
All right, so like you were saying, 2029, that seems like a very long time for now. What's the entire process of getting this implemented? What are they looking at doing to get the ball rolling quicker?
Well, it's kind of like building a road. It's just doing it in a different way through the cyber world, but it takes time and it takes money and people, and it will take, it looks like 6 years to complete the job, but along the way more and more people will be getting access. So the 300,000 will go to 250 and 200, and then presumably by 2029 everybody in the state will have access to this, and Louisiana 30 years later will join the 21st century.
Join the 21st century. Well, we are moving into an election year. Is this grant set in stone? Is it possible that the money could be allocated elsewhere?
It's a federal grant, so it appears that this one is set in stone, and this was a big win, and the governor, of course, is taking a victory lap, as any governor would, and it's just curious that his predecessor has not, or did not, find federal money to be that palatable. Governor Jindal, like many other Republican governors in the South in particular, declined to take Obamacare money, which was at one time 100% from the federal government, still is 90%. Governor Edwards, on his first day in office, he took that money. And now every candidate for governor is indicating he will take it, regardless of party affiliation. And now the broadband money is the same way. We're in a new world that the state has to adapt to, and it's taking us a bit late to come to the party, but we're getting there. And presumably by 2029, we will have caught up to most of the rest of the country, which already has close to 100% access.
So we talked a lot about the 300,000 or the almost 300,000 people in Louisiana that don't have internet access and need it. Does the governor talk about exactly where those locations are and what his goal is with implementation in these particular areas?
Well, many of them are in rural areas. So we're talking areas generally outside of New Orleans and Baton Rouge, but still 300,000 people in a state with 4.6 million, that's a lot of people. That's a substantial, that's well over 5% of the population that's affected by this. So it's something that's long overdue, and for the state to really advance in those areas, not only are rural, they're the most impoverished areas in the state of Louisiana. And I can only imagine trying to run a business, and today when running a business, even if it's a mom and pop in a small town, it's become a global operation. You have to have contact with the outside world, not only in the United States, but all across the world. And if you don't have broadband access, you don't have an internet connection, it's a bit hard to do that.